Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Shock Doc Medical. I'm your host, Dr. Rod. Today, I've got a fascinating, slightly wild story to share with you. It's one of those you won't believe what just happened moments that makes you go, wait, Botox and botulism? Aren't those like practically twins? Well, they kind of are in the weird world of toxins, and there's a lot to unpack here. So here's the scoop. Recently in Sydney, 3 women were rushed to the hospital with botulism after getting what was supposed to be cosmetic Botox injections. And no, this isn't your typical, oh, I need a touch-up story. It turns out that these injections came from a provider working out of a home in Western Sydney. Yep, you heard me right, a home. And this provider isn't even a registered health practitioner. Talk about cutting corners. Now, before we dive too deep, let's clarify something that always trips people up. Botox and botulism might sound like they belong in the same family reunion, but their outcomes are worlds apart. Botox, when used correctly, is a diluted form of botulinum toxin, a neurotoxin that, in the right dose, helps smooth out wrinkles by blocking nerve signals to the muscles. It's like sending your wrinkles on a short vacation. But here's the kicker. If that toxin isn't handled with care, say if it's contaminated, not properly diluted, or just administered by someone who's not up to the task, it can turn into botulism, a serious, nerve-paralyzing illness. I mean, think about it. When did you ever hear someone say, I'm off to get botulism? That's not exactly a beauty treatment brochure. Yet, here we are, with cases popping up that remind us how important proper regulation is, especially in industries that are booming. Cosmetic injectables are a huge business in Australia, valued at over $4 billion and growing by nearly 20% annually. With that kind of money in play, there's always someone trying to cut corners. This isn't the first time we've heard about such mishaps. Apparently, the same dodgy practitioner was linked to another botulism case in Victoria back in 2024. Now, both New South Wales and Victoria have taken swift action, banning this provider from performing any cosmetic procedures and issuing public warnings. And honestly, I can't help but feel a mix of relief and concern. Relief that the authorities are stepping in, but concern about how many more similar incidents might be lurking just under the surface. Let's break down what happens here. Botox, in its proper medically approved form, is safe. It's used not just for those pesky wrinkles, but also to treat conditions like chronic migraines and muscle spasms. The magic lies in its ability to temporarily block nerve signals to muscles. But when that same toxin is mismanaged, maybe due to poor storage, hello, improper refrigeration, contamination, or just sheer incompetence, it can leak into your bloodstream in higher doses than intended. And that's when botulism can rear its ugly head. Now, for those of you wondering, what exactly is botulism? It's a rare but very serious illness. We're talking symptoms like drooping eyelids, difficulty breathing, trouble swallowing, blurred vision, and even slurred speech. And in infants, it can be even more dangerous, causing floppy limbs and a weak cry. It's a condition that can develop within hours to days after exposure, and while most patients eventually recover with proper treatment, some may face long-term complications. And the fatality rate? Roughly 5 to 10%. Not something you'd want to risk for a quick cosmetic fix. But here's something that really got me thinking. The article I came across, courtesy of Thomas Jeffries from The Conversation, also mentioned that botulism isn't just a risk in the cosmetic world. It can also come from food. Yep, that's right. If you're into home-preserving vegetables or fermenting your own foods, and don't add enough salt or acid or skip proper heat treatment, you might also be in for a risk of foodborne botulism. I remember my aunt once tried to make her own pickles, and while she didn't end up with botulism, let's just say it was a learning experience in following proper recipes and techniques. This whole situation is a stark reminder for anyone considering cosmetic procedures. Always check your practitioner's credentials. Ask them directly about the product they're using, and ensure it's registered with the Therapeutic Goods Administration. It might sound like common sense, but in the rush for quick beauty fixes, sometimes people overlook these crucial details. On a broader note, this incident also opens up a conversation about regulation in booming industries. With cosmetic injectables being such a hot market, the pressure is on for stricter oversight. We're living in a time when almost everything is DIY or being done by non-traditional providers. And while innovation is great, it should never come at the cost of our health. Before I wrap up this segment, let me leave you with a bit of a personal note. I've always been fascinated by how two things with almost identical names, Botox and botulism, can be worlds apart, based solely on how they're handled. It's a reminder to all of us, whether you're choosing a cosmetic procedure or trying your hand at homemade food preservation, attention to detail and proper technique can make all the difference between a success story and a potential health hazard. All right, that's enough medical musing for today. I hope you found this breakdown as enlightening as I did. If you have any questions or personal experiences with cosmetic procedures or even home canning adventures, drop me a line on our social channels. Remember, staying informed is key to staying safe. Thanks for tuning in to Shock Doc Medical. Until next time, I'm Dr. Rod. Stay curious, stay safe, and take care of yourselves. Catch you on the next episode.